Hey, it's Linda Edowich with William Ravis Real Estate right here in Glastonbury, Connecticut, and welcome to my first ever market update. What I'd like to do every single week, starting now, is to give you an update on what's happening in the Glastonbury market. So when COVID first hit, there was a few weeks where we were wondering what was going to happen and would real estate just move forward or would it go into a complete standstill? And we pretty quickly realized that while 2008 real estate was the reason why we went into a recession, now COVID real estate was probably cited to be what would bring us out of recession. And really because of that, we had the support of the governor. We had banks were lending, we had attorneys working and handling safe closings, title companies were working on getting title, town halls were open so that we could do title searches. So the wheels on the bus kept going and we were able to make it work. And I think that's really important to know that while there was a little bit of a blip while we tried to figure it out, ultimately we all figured it out. Recently, the National Association of Realtors put out an article where they tracked 8.9 million people by using the U.S. Postal Service change of address form. And what I thought was interesting about that particular article is that Connecticut ranked 5 out of the top 10 for net gain. That means that 545 people moved into Connecticut, and that was more people that moved in than moved out. And I thought that was super interesting. Okay, 545 people, it's not a lot of people. But of that amount of people, 60% came from New York City. And in Glastonbury specifically, when we as sellers are seeing offers written on our property, we're noticing a lot of New York buyers. I think it's important for you to know, and one thing that you don't hear in the news and you probably didn't hear, is that by June of 2020, our market had already recovered. So the Glastonbury market had already recovered well over what happened with COVID and the little pause that we essentially had in the beginning to where we were in June of 2019. And that's super important to know as a homeowner in Glastonbury, that we were in a market that was so strong, we recovered and we bounced back so quickly. Okay, so where are we year to date? It's amazing. We are down inventory. Our inventory is down by more than 25%. And when we get the end of the year total in a few weeks, we're gonna find that that number is gonna come down even a little bit further. And our average price point for houses is up. We're now at an average of $440,000 with an average of our square footage at about 179 a square foot. Okay. There's the anomalies, there's houses that sell for a little bit more, and there's houses that sell for a little bit less. But that's just the average. So that's really good news as a seller here. And what I'm gonna say is, I think we're in a little bit of a sweet spot. And what do I mean by that? Well, as we go into the new year and as we go into spring market, we're expecting even less inventory. So that will drive up prices even higher. So right now we've got this little bit of a situation as we go into the end of the year and into January, where sellers are still putting their houses on the market and buyers are still buying them because they still have really great interest rates. But what's gonna probably end up happening is those prices are probably gonna start to go up. After I reviewed the market, and that's the entire market, I looked at houses that sold 200 to 300, 300 to 400, 500 to 600, you get the point. I looked at every one of those incremental sales numbers for over the last year, and what I found was really interesting. Every single one of those price points had houses that went over asking. Okay, and clients always ask, well, how much over asking do they go? All of the houses? Well, you'd be interested to know at least a third of all the homes that were put on the market in all the different price points went over asking anywhere from 3% to up to 5%. Some went a little less and some went a little bit more. Again, you have your anomalies. But I think it's super interesting to know that, both as a buyer and as a seller, that what we're looking at as we go into the new year is less inventory and housing prices are probably going to keep going up. So when I did this analysis, I saw that really all the houses were starting to sell at or above the market price of the ones that did go over after COVID. So in the beginning of the year, we were still seeing sellers put their houses on the market and buyers coming in with offers anywhere from 5 to 10% under value. And as sellers, we were having to wheel them up to our price point. But after COVID, if you had just the right house with all the right finishes in the right location, you as a seller were calling the shots and your house was selling in multiple offers. And we are going to continue to see that as we move forward. So as a seller going into the new year, what should you know? Well, number one, talk to your real estate agent. Feel free to give me a call and we can explore what it looks like to put your house on the market, what you need to do and when you need to do it, and what that timing looks like. You would be surprised to know that there is a specific time in which to get your property on the market to reach the maximum value. And as a buyer, well, you're probably going to go into more and more situation where you are going to be writing multiple offers, and you might lose 1 or 2 or 5 houses before you land on the right one. So what you want to do is you want to be super prepared. And as a buyer, to be super prepared, you need to work with a real estate agent that's going to get you there. Somebody that knows the market, is experienced, and can advise you on how to be a super competitive buyer. And next week, when you tune in to our second ever market update, I'll tell you how to do that. So in conclusion, I wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in to my first ever market update. I am looking forward to this new year bringing you weekly market updates. Feel free to reach out to me if you ever have any questions, easily accessible. My cell phone number, 860-818-3610, or you can reach me on Instagram, which is my favorite platform of choice, at Linda Edowich Realtor. Happy New Year. I hope everybody has a safe and wonderful New Year, and we'll see you in 2021.